obviously a sense of fairness that's being involved or applied to the pirates. But I think that a lot of people who pirate music and films validate their behavior also by the ethics or behavior that is coming from the music and film industry in the way they are distributing music and processing pirates and other...
Sorry, can you speak closer into the microphone?
I think that, well, you propose a system of fairness on part of the pirate side, so to speak, but also that a lot of people validate their pirating mostly because the way the music and record industry and the film industry is behaving in the way of distributing content and following up on people who breach that issue. And obviously it's a very mature system, but I see a very big issue in implementing it because I don't think a lot of people would be up for it by the way the positions between the two sides, as someone just said, are right now.
So I'm not sure whether I caught that correctly, but I was wondering, I think you might have been saying, well, aren't people justifying their piratical actions with respect to these existing industries as they currently stand?
Yes.
Is that right? And so that's right. And I actually think that that's a valid reason for people to say, well, look, I'm fed up with the way that these industries are behaving, and I'm going to pirate their stuff because I want to see some alternative version of this industry appear in its place. And I think that's a coherent position to take, provided that you remember that you should then be sure to reward the artists and the publishing companies that are doing things differently. So that's a pretty valid way to approach the question.
Niels Helgaard Larsen from the IT Political Association of Denmark. You a few times mentioned flat rate as a solution. I see it as a problem because if it's a legally enforced flat rate, eventually it will end up as some extra tax on my internet connections. And that will certainly not increase my happiness. I don't use their products, so I don't want to pay for them.
That's a great question, and I actually think it's a whole other hour-long talk to talk about flat rates and all the benefits they have and all the problems they have, and whether you can design them in such a way that to maximize the benefits and minimize the problems, and whether they're a good idea from a political perspective, whether we should be arguing for them. I think the answer is probably yes, but I also think there are serious dangers with just rushing towards them without being careful, and you need to make sure you don't build the wrong flat rate system that just pays more of the same big artists and doesn't pay the small artists, for instance. In terms of fairness, I think your concern, you said, well, why should I pay a flat rate when I don't read many books online or I don't listen to much music? The answer is, well, if you consume some culture, then you are at least getting, some benefit from some part of the system. And this is inherently a problem with all of the projects we have in our societies that involve governments or collective action at all. I pay taxes for the education of kids even if I don't have children myself, or I pay for healthcare even if I don't get sick. But that doesn't mean that it's bad to have a publicly funded education system.
I have a final... Oh, sorry.
So you want a tax for education, for entertainment?
So, I didn't catch that, but you should come and talk to me afterwards if you still have...
Okay, I have a final question to the ethics.
Okay, last question.
Okay, while we are in Holland, we have a beautiful law that means home copy. That says that we can do a home copy on wherever the source is legal or not. And therefore we pay for our Blanco media, we pay for, there's now a discussion to pay for tax for the MP3 players and so. So if you think we paid 3 times for the same song for the MP3 player to listen to it, to burn to the CD for in the car, or our legal data, and for the song itself. What do you think about then ethics from piracy?
So I think that private copying levies, the systems, the question was about private copying taxes that that exist in a number of European countries where you have a tax on your blank CDs and you pay the tax regardless of whether you use a blank CD for copying music or for something else. I think the answer is that if those levies are going to continue to exist, we should argue that they give people the right to file share, and they should include that right as part of the bargain. You pay a tax, so you get the right to file share, and that's part of the flat rate or collective licensing solution that I think is the right one ultimately. If you wanted to deal with it in the terms of this algorithm that I'm talking about, again, a crazy idea for individual behavior at this point in history, in that line where it says T-shirts, concert tickets, CDs, and you're paying money, you should count the private copying levies and include them as money already paid. And if you've already paid enough to an artist through the private copying levies, then maybe you don't owe them any more.
Agree.
Thanks, everyone.